1.01, call to order. 1.02, if everyone will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 1.03, adoption of the agenda. It is recommended that the agenda for April 13th, 2022, regular meeting of the Board of School Trustees be adopted as presented.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 2, recognition. 2.01, recognition of SEM Athletic Director Dean Hubbard. Mr. Barker.
Thank you, President Parks. Tonight I'm excited to announce to everyone that the National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association has announced that Dean Huppert has been recognized as a certified athletic administrator. To earn this distinction, Mr. Huppert has demonstrated the highest level of knowledge and expertise in the field of interscholastic athletic administration. The voluntary certification process included a thorough evaluation of the candidate's exceptional educational background, experience, and professional contributions, as well as a rigorous, comprehensive written exam. Mr. Huppert is one of an elite group of interscholastic athletic administrators nationwide now to attain this level of professionalism. And I think we all appreciate Mr. Huppert and know what a great job he does for us. And Mr. Huppert, congratulations on this recognition.
I just wanted to first of all say thank you for the recognition. It was the first test that I've taken probably since 1989. So when you're taking a test, it's like, okay, I'm not used to this. But it's something that we try to do is learn and grow, and I appreciate the IIAAA. I won an award years ago as a sportscaster, and I didn't even know what those initials stood for, but it's the Indiana Interscholastic Athletic Administration Association. They do an amazing job of giving us training tools and giving us an opportunity to learn each year. And the experience we now have in our athletic department, Sherry Kaiser also has a CAA, so she's a certified athletic administrator, and I feel like now we give ourselves a little bit more in the toolbox. So we're still learning, we're still growing. The things that we went through were things like legal issues, dealing with parents, coaches, how we go about our daily business. And you know, there's so much to this job that if you don't keep learning, you're not going to be very good. So I'm going to keep this short because I can see the real stars are right over here, and you guys are looking forward to that. And I just want to say thank you again. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate Mr. Ross and the support we get all the way through the corporation. It's just a tremendous place to work. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations. 2.02, recognition of HUM's robotic team. Dr. Hickel.
Thank you. Hopefully you were able to enjoy a little bit of the preview, but I want to share with you some information about two groups of exceptional students and their coach. The HUM's robotics team, a team with no name, has been invited to the World Championships, which is such an accomplishment. They won this ability to participate based on their skills score at the state championship. The team with no name is made up of 3 6th grade students at HUM's Elementary School, and all 3 of them had previously participated in VEX. The team received their best driving and programming score of the year at the state competition in Indianapolis. They got a total of 70 points, which placed them 61st in the state, 299th in the US, and 520th in the world for elementary students. What an accomplishment. The World Championships are in Dallas, Texas, May 10th through the 12th. So we're excited to be able to watch them continue to perform and hopefully successful at Worlds. The other team that we wanted to recognize was another highly successful team from HUMS called the Dread Cows. And I learned about how they got their name. What a great story. You'll have to ask the students about that later. This team consists of all 5th graders, and it was their first year for all of them to participate. Their skills score of 62 ranked them 80th in the state, 395th in the US, and 714th in the world for elementary. And they were just 5 points away from also qualifying from Worlds. So we were so close to having 2 teams be able to participate. With them all being fifth graders, we look forward to them coming back as sixth graders and hopefully being able to participate in Worlds. These two teams were paired together in the winning alliance at the VEX IQ League, and we look forward to seeing them return next year. We're also incredibly proud of our elementary robotics teams, all of them at all 7 of our elementary schools, and we want to especially honor these 2 teams tonight that found success at HUMS. We're appreciative of their coach, Mr. Ryan Mitchell, and we wish him the best along with his team at the World Championships. Finally, I'd like to speak a little bit about Mr. Mitchell and his contributions. Not only is he a PLTW teacher and a VEX coach himself, but he is also our elementary academic competitions coordinator. Mr. Mitchell first brought VEX robotics to SCM 5 years ago with a dream that at some point all of our elementary schools would be able to offer VEX robotics as an extracurricular activity. In 5 short years, he has worked collaboratively to make this dream come true. We first hosted a one-day tournament at Beager in the winter of 2020, very early in 2020. And thanks to Ryan's leadership, we were able to expand that, creating a league competition for all of our schools to participate, as well as some other local area schools. They were able to participate in several tournaments, including state qualifying tournaments. We're grateful for his visionary leadership and the opportunities that we can now provide to SCM students through our elementary robotics program. At this time, I'd like to invite Mr. Ryan Mitchell to come forward and speak, and his students to come forward and be recognized.
All right, thank you for those kind words. Very exciting time for all of us this year. We started out a few years ago. I knew so little that I didn't even know we needed one of these tables that everything connects to. So we ended up like taping stuff to books and the floor, and that was an interesting year, but we learned a lot. And after that, we opened it up to third graders because we didn't have a lot of upperclassmen, if you will, that wanted to do it. So we had a bunch of third graders that second year that wanted to do it, including Carson up here. He's been doing it for 4 years now since third grade. Landon was in third grade as well, I believe, right? So they were 2 of the first that were really involved in the organized team, not necessarily that first year. Last year we qualified for state, but it was all virtual, so it was a little different. So this year was very exciting at being in person, getting to go down to Lucas Oil Stadium, competing with all the best teams in the state. And when I say the best teams in the state, it's really the best teams in the U.S. because Indiana has probably the most competitive state. The foundation that we got a lot of our grant money through has really pushed getting an elementary school team or a team in every elementary school across the state, and they've almost accomplished that. So because of that, we've got a lot of competition that push each other, and we have some of the best teams in the state and in the world, or in the country and in the world in Indiana. So we're among those now, which is pretty awesome. The other thing I just wanted to say is, like any of our academic teams, we really owe a lot to the MEF. They fund our T-shirts, they fund our registration fees and things like that. So they are a big part of it. So I want to thank them as well. Other than that, I think that we're all excited to be here to show off what we can do, and we appreciate the time. So that's all I got.
And Ryan, if the students were fundraising, how might people be able to contribute to those efforts?
I forgot about that, yeah. A plug. So we are raising money because we are traveling to Dallas for almost an entire week. We are looking for help with funding that. So we started a GoFundMe. So if you just search up HUMS on GoFundMe or HUMS Robotics, it should pop up as one of the first results. There is a lady whose name is Lisa Hum. I think she's actually first on the list, but we're right up there. But we're just looking to get money to, again, pay for the registration, pay for the kids' plane tickets. We got to eat while we're down there, so we're just looking to fund as much of that as we can so that it's not all on the families, and we have a good time and not have to stress about all that. So yes, GoFundMe, search HUMS. It should be there.
Awesome. Would anyone like to say anything? No? How about our 3-year student? What do you get out of being in robotics?
Go.
Smart, clearly.
And
What are you excited
Very
about
nice.
going to Dallas for? What's the most exciting part? Winning the whole competition?
oh, very nice.
You need to win.
It's an
No, I'm just kidding.
opportunity, right?
Can I add one thing? So a couple years ago when we did the event at Beager, we got money from Martin's to kind of pay for that. And WNDU came and interviewed us. And there's a quote from Landon when he was in 4th grade saying, we want to make it to state. So it's kind of cool seeing this a couple years later. You know, he's back with the team and he's going to get to see that goal fulfilled. So, or he did see it fulfilled. Now we get to go to the next step, I guess we should say. So,
How many of you are traveling? How many of you are going? Landon?
so 3 in the middle, yeah.
Okay.
Very nice, very nice. Well, are they gonna demonstrate?
You got
One
one
more
real quick?
time? Competition between the few of you?
Well, while they're setting up, I'll actually explain that the 2 teams that go with each other on the table are actually working together. So they talk strategy beforehand. So they might meet a team they've never met before. They talk strategy ahead of time, and then they try to get as many points as they can in a minute. So it's very quick. So if things go wrong, they go wrong pretty quickly. So I'll time you guys for a minute. Sound good?
I'd just be doing donuts,
Yeah.
spinning.
She's supercharging it.
Just check if it works. You guys ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
The
He's a
collector.
pro. He's a pro. Wow. Trying to get that corner one.
Covered.
Get it. Yeah. Wow. Just him and
35.
No pressure.
he's going for more.
Nice.
I think that's a 42-point score right there. So
Very nice.
yeah. All right.
Good job.
So for all of those sitting in this room and all the people you know, go to the GoFundMe so we can get these 3 young men down to Dallas so that they can win state, even though they just want to go. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell.
Thank
Very
you.
impressive.
Very good.
Congratulations to all of you. Thank you so much for coming. Our board and all of us love having students come to our board meetings and present and be a part of it. So that's always fun for us. And also parents and families, thank you for coming. And if you would like to leave now, feel free to do so. You're welcome to stay, but there's no expectation that you do that. Thanks
Yeah.
again and congratulations.
Do we really? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
All right, moving on, 2.03, Outreach to Teach Day at Emmons Elementary School. Mrs. Lewinsky.
Hello. As many of you probably already know, there was a little event happening last Saturday at our school. And this was our Outreach to Teach Day, sponsored by ISTA, where Jean Reynolds, a past teacher, put in for it, and we received this. So it was supposed to be a one-day event, but which was actually turned out to be months of planning, many spreadsheets, many adjustments, endless work orders filled by the maintenance department. They are probably tired of hearing from me. Numerous trips
to Lowe's by Lee. I really appreciated him as well. Hours of prep work by Juan outside. Thousands of dollars spent on paint, vanities, Cricut designs, countertops, etc. It was more than a one-day event. As you can see, we put together some slides of some before and after. Those benches were things that I found at a resale store. The rocks, Jerome is probably still sore from shoveling many, many tons of rocks. She's probably still complaining about that, but that's our front of our building. This was just a blank wall that we had in our foyer. It did have a bulletin board on it. This was where Eagle Wings were supposed to go. We're still working on some of the projects. That mural is still being worked on and debated. One of the best things that I like is the pencils in the kindergarten hallway. We tried to spruce up that hallway with a lot of primary colors, so that was fun for that. Our bathroom stalls, as you can see the difference. I actually stood in the bathroom Monday morning, waiting on little kids to come in. And I left with tears. One little girl came out screaming, "There's a rainbow in our bathroom." And they were just in awe over the bathroom. So we still have work to go on those as well, but super excited how those turned out. This was our teacher's lounge. And if you've ever been in our teacher's lounge, it was straight out of the 1960s. It was awful. That was just the register in the teacher's lounge. It will get a bar top. Our kitchenette was old. It had the stove, the refrigerator, the sink. That got pulled out, and the bathrooms got redone. Everything got repainted. We're still working on that. We have some countertops to put in. My husband's making a countertop to go over the register. So we're still working on that. We have an accent wall, things like that. The art room was my favorite, was not slated to be done, just happened to have some people and they said, we want to do the art room. So they ended up in the art room, and here they are, and it turned out really well. This was just an old, ugly brick wall that we thought, we had no idea what we could do with this wall. So we just covered it up with a bulletin board. There's already artwork hanging on it. My mother-in-law who came in today and painted the register. All weekend it bothered her. She's like, that register needs to be painted. That register needs to be painted. I said, well, then come paint the register. So here she was today painting the register. So the nurse's office was not on the list to be done either, but our nurse worked really hard, and she still had ABC designs up on top. It was really ugly. Sarah and Barb can attest to that. They painted that. So Sarah, when they showed up, they said, what can we do? And I said, can you paint? And they looked at me like, no. And I kept saying, growth mindset, remember? So I said, here's some paintbrushes, and they got that done, and I really appreciate it. So this was another ugly wall at the top of the stairs. Not sure, I mean, if you come over to our school, you're going to see that ugly coral and green, and what do you do with it? I don't know. So we decided that upstairs we were going to make a little couch sitting area, and so my husband and Mr. Addison on the Friday before, they came and they shiplapped that wall. So I was afraid that the teachers were going to say, well, why can't we shiplap all of it?
Right.
So we had these ugly just white doors, and everyone, when I said we needed to paint the doors white, they were like, well, they are white. I'm like, no, that's builder grade ugly white. We need to paint them. So a couple of things that they did on our doors. The fun things down the music hallway, the puzzle pieces will have our leader and me sayings on them. And then the music hallway was just some odds and ends that they did. Our display case got painted, all the windows around the old office. And then Brad made some new coat racks to go down our hallways because they were all hodgepodge of what we had. Just another little corner that they took over and said, let's make this cute. So those are just some of the projects that we did. I didn't show you everything. Again, we had over 100 people show up that day. I was a little nervous because when 100 people walk in, they got to have something to do. And you can have the best laid plans, and if you don't execute, it doesn't work out. But I think overall it turned out really well. We only had to make 7 trips back to Sherwin-Williams. We ended up with buying 57 gallons of paint. One of those trips she had to go to Dowagiac St. Joe to get 20 more gallons because we just ran out. So those were just some of the things that we did. As you can see, this one-day event was a huge undertaking, but it was also a huge success. On Monday, I had a couple of teachers said, when can we do this again? And I'm like, slow your roll, Sally. We're still getting through day one, and we have many projects to finish, but this has really energized our building. I think it's energized our staff, our students, and our community. So this is just the beginning. We're going to keep going. You know, I always call that school the Little Tired School on Main Street. Well, the Little Tired School on Main Street is revived, and we're excited to keep it going, and we'd like to not call it the Little Tired School on Main Street anymore. So I thank you for all the support you guys have done for our school, the donations, the media, allowing the maintenance department and all the workers to help us out. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It looks amazing, and I have always thought the tired little school on Main Street. I am very excited that Emmons got this and that you guys deserve it. It's one of the oldest schools, and it looks like one of the oldest schools, so that looks amazing, and I'm excited to see what else can happen over there. So congratulations to you guys.
It's really large part. We got this grant 3 years ago, and primarily in part to Janine Reynolds and her dedication throughout her teaching years and just her commitment to the community, commitment to Emmons. Certainly when Deb did so much getting it set up and organizing it, but I mean, Janine was kind of the heart behind it.
Was Janine there on Saturday?
She was able to be there for a little bit.
Very nice, very nice. We should have her back and say thank you again. Thank you. Moving on to 3 comments and questions from the floor. 3.01, representatives of Mishawaka Parent Group. 3.02, representatives of school employees. 3.03, representatives of Mishawaka Education Foundation. Corey?
Thank you, President Parks, members of the board. On behalf of Jane and the rest of the MEF board, thank you to everyone who has purchased an MEF Major Savers card. They are still available here at the Administration Center. Please see Ann when she gets back from vacation if you're interested. MEF is also trying to fulfill the 2022 wish list request, so please visit mishawaka.edu.org. Again, mishawaka.edu.org to make a wish come true. Plan now for the 2022 Made in Mishawaka Luncheon. It's on Wednesday, June 1st at the Mishawaka Holiday and Convention Center. MEF will be honoring Marsha Wells and Dick Curry for their service to SCM and the Mishawaka community. MEF will also feature this year's MEF grant recipients, Beyond the Cave, with Superintendent Wayne Barker giving the SCM State of the SCM address. So much to celebrate, so make sure you are there. Thanks for all that you do on behalf of MEF and the rest of the group. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. 3.04, general public, and we have David Strawn signed up.
Madam President, school board members, Superintendent Barker, my name is David Strawn. I live at 305 George Street in Mishawaka, and I have no group affiliation. I have several questions and one recommendation with respect to tonight's school board agenda. Item 5.02, approval of bills, warrants, and payroll. Question. In the check register, there is listed a transaction in the amount of $29,918.38 with Analytics, I think that's how you pronounce that, of South Bend, Indiana. What is the justification for purchasing these services? And please provide more detail surrounding this specific transaction. Item 8.02, recommendation to approve MCOR Construction Services to serve as energy savings contractor. Question number 1, how did School City come to the conclusion that School City requires the services of an energy savings company? School City's history of engaging energy savings contractors has been less than stellar, particularly when it comes to the funding side of things. Question 2, what are the measurable direct benefits to the taxpayer of employing the services of an energy savings company, even after the installation of new windows and doors and other alleged energy saving improvements made with the 2016 capital improvement bond money? Question 3, how much is this agreement going to cost the SCM taxpayer, and from what fund will the contractor be paid? And the rest of that question is irrelevant, and I'm sure Alex will address that in a few minutes. Item 8.03, recommendation to approve letter of engagement with Baker Tilly. Question 1, was this transaction competed among other municipal advisory service providers in northern Indiana? If so, what were the results of the competition? Question 2 under this item, the $40,000 not to exceed amount set forth in the scope appendix will be paid from what fund? And 9.01, second reading of policies update, volume number 34. Recommendation here. Members of the public do not have the ability to see the proposed policy changes in their entirety during either first or second reading. While SCM does post a brief summary of the proposed policy change, the devil is always in the details. Hence, the public is denied the opportunity to compare current policy language with a proposed change in policy language, and consequently an opportunity to engage school board members in meaningful discussions prior to formal school board action on the subject. And recommend all future proposed policy changes be published in full text and labeled as such. Operating in this manner, the public can perform a line-by-line comparison of proposed policy changes against the existing policy. And lastly, this is not on the script here. Can somebody in School City provide me with a date certain when the door locking mechanism on door L at Mishawaka High School will be repaired? That concludes my comments for this evening. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, David. Okay. 4, mediation settlement agreement and release. 4.01, consideration for mediation settlement agreement and release. Mr. Barker.
It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the mediation settlement agreement and release.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 5, consent agenda. 5.01, approval of the minutes of the March 23rd, 2022 board meeting. It is recommended that the minutes of the March 23rd, 2022 board meeting be approved as presented. 5.02, approval of the bill warrants and payroll. It is recommended that the board approve payment of bill warrants and payroll in the amount of $3,271,725.11 from the appropriate funds. 5.03, acceptance of donations. It is recommended that the board accept donations as listed and documented. 5.04, approval of the overnight extended field trips. It is recommended that the board approve the extended field trips as listed and documented. 5.05, approval of the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 6, vision initiatives. 6.01, planning for preferred future of educational excellence. Mr. Barker.
Thank you, President Parks. Just want to give you an update on the 2 working groups that we're working with within our community regarding a potential upcoming referendum in May of 2023. I might add that coming into this spring, it looks like I think there were 8 referenda that are being proposed across the state. So we're watching those closely in May of 2022 to see how their success goes. Certainly a challenging time to be doing that right now with the economic issues that a lot of people are facing. So we'll be watching that closely to see what happens. But since our last school board meeting, we have not had a high priority facility needs work group meeting. Their next meeting is actually on Tuesday of next week on April 19th. We have held a community collaborating committee since our last school board meeting, and at that meeting, Mr. Newman presented information to the group on our district's fiscal capacity and raising revenue through a potential capital and/or operating referenda. Additionally, I presented information about a possible legislative remedy that we will explore concerning mitigating our property tax circuit breaker losses and how that impacts our operating revenue. So those are things that both groups are working on. At our next meeting, I'll be able to give you an update on the 2 meetings that we hold next week on Tuesday and Thursday night, because both of those groups will be meeting next week. So
Thank you.
that's our report.
Thanks for the update. 7, Human Resources. 7.01, Personnel Report. Mr. Barker.
Usually, Mr. Calderoni makes the recommendation for this report, but I'm going to be making the recommendation tonight since it includes a change in his personnel status. Mr. Calderoni has elected to resign his position as Executive Director of Human Resources and Student Services effective June 30 because of his interest in another position within our organization. Mr. Calderoni has been an incredible asset to the district over his entire career, and that certainly includes the last 3 years in his current role. Moreover, he's been a great confidant and friend to me, and I will certainly miss working with him on a daily basis. And while I hate to see him leave our district administrative team, I'm excited for him because he's excited for this new role and getting back to working with teachers and students in a role as program supervisor at the Oaklawn campus. So while it's bittersweet for me to tell you about that tonight, I am excited for him that he'll be in the organization still and continuing to make a positive impact as he always has. This opportunity creates an additional opportunity that I want to also talk to you about tonight in the recommendation, and that is Mr. Corey Laban has been serving currently in the role of Director of School Services and Assessment, and this year we even added to that school safety, and you've gotten to know him much better over the last 2 years as our COVID king, as we like to jokingly say, even though it's true. Tonight I'm proposing we move Mr. Laban to the Director of Human Resources and School Safety. Since he's only just taken on the role of school safety and we're making some real progress, we want him to continue that. He'll be in this role directly responsible for recruiting, interviewing, hiring, termination, retaining, working with evaluation procedures through our Standard for Success, which is our evaluation software program, all personnel issues, Title IX. He'll be responsible for the nurses work group, and continuing to deal with school safety. And I think he's extremely well suited for this role, and I'm confident he will continue to do a great job serving in this role for our district. And finally, I'm proposing we create a posting for a Director of Student Services position. Duties for this will be the maintenance of the student handbook, multi-tiered systems of support, student discipline, district expulsion examiner, student attendance, social workers will be a work group that they'll be responsible for, and parent issues. And then the other curricular issues that Mr. Laban has been serving in will actually fall back and be absorbed in the curriculum and instruction department. So all of these moves involve some restructuring here at the district office. So at this time, it's recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the entire personnel report, which includes the items just mentioned as presented.
Move for approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I would like to say that there is no better man in this corporation that has the biggest heart and the most compassion and the most people-driven than you, Jerome. And I think for the time that you have served in this position and the time you have served at the high school, you're an incredible human, and you're going to do great things over there. And I'm glad that you are going to feel peace and happiness and joy again in a position that's best suited for you. We all love you to death, and I think you know that already. So congratulations on that next move of your career.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Looking forward to it. And in my 3 years here, I've always kind of taken a position, even when I first started out, is if you're not learning something new or how to do things better, you're not growing. And the leadership team here, and starting with Wayne and Sarah and Alex and Katie and Barb and Corey and Jen Smith is part of our leadership team. I've learned a lot. I really have. And I'm 57 years old, and you're still learning, and that's exciting. So it has been tiresome, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to look back. You need to look forward and where you're going. And I'm really, when this opportunity, Wayne and I have had several conversations about this over the last couple of months. But when this opportunity opened a month ago, I thought to myself, boy, maybe that's where I need to be, but I've learned so much from being in the HR and student services role, coming from a secondary level, that's what and then you have the opportunity to see what's going on in our elementary buildings and the leadership that's being provided by, people like Brad and Courtney and Matt and the rest of the group. I mean, it's amazing what they do in their buildings every day and the work they put into it. And sometimes you don't get to see that. You go through your entire career and you don't see that piece. And I feel fortunate. I've been able to see that piece and how it works in each building and what it looks like, because it's not always the same, And then obviously I'm truly excited for Corey. Wow, I mean, he's a good one, Seriously, he is. And his leadership through COVID, I mean, I could go on, but I'm really excited for him and his family as well. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
You should have just said, be quiet, Jerome. That's enough.
I'll listen to you talk all day. Corey, I would also like to say congratulations, and if you would like to come and to the podium, and if you have anything to say, your wife is here to support and congratulate you as well.
I just want to say thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Much like Jerome's already talked about, we have an incredible leadership team here. As much as he has maybe learned from us, I would say that we have reciprocated that, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to serve alongside him. He has a quiet leadership and a quiet wisdom that is hard to find. I think we all know that. I sometimes think it's important that he hears that directly from us too. So grateful and appreciative. I look forward to continuing good work. So thank you.
Congratulations to you. I'm excited to hear and see the success of both of you and your new job adventures, career adventures. All right, moving on. 8, business and operations. 8.01, recommendation to renew school bus maintenance and repair agreement with Penn Harris Madison School Corporation. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, President Parks and members of the board. School City Mishawaka contracts our vehicle maintenance and repair for our bus fleet with Penn Harris Madison School Corporation. As part of the agreement, PHM provides preventative maintenance and repair services at their transportation department. It also allows for School City Mishawaka to park and store our vehicles at their facility, utilize their bus wash, and have access to their interior facilities. I have listed the dollar amount charged per yellow bus for the length of the 3-year contract. Also listed is an amount for activity buses. However, we left that in the contract. However, Penn does not work on our activity buses, but just in case in the future we wanted them to, it is in the contract. They are servicing typically 8 or 9 buses, usually 9 buses. So this is about a $60,000 to $70,000 agreement. We also pay them for the commercial garage keepers policy. And again, this is a continuation of an agreement for many years. So we're very appreciative of Penn Harris Madison continuing this relationship and asking for your favorable approval this evening.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Alex. 8.02, recommendation to approve MCOR Construction Services to serve as energy savings company. Mr. Newman.
Thank you, President Parks and members of the board. Back on at our February 23rd board meeting, the Board of School Trustees approved the advertisement of a request for qualifications, or an RFQ, seeking the submission of qualifications from interested firms that are capable of providing comprehensive energy, operational, and maintenance-related capital improvement services. We ran that advertisement on both March 3rd and 10th, on both the South Bend Tribune and Mishawaka Enterprise, with submissions due April 11th at 10 a.m. MCOR Construction Services submitted the only response to our RFQ. MCOR Construction Services has worked with School City of Mishawaka on past projects and has most recently partnered with the school corporation on our facility assessment being utilized by the High Priority Facility Needs Committee. MCOR has completed over 150 guaranteed energy savings projects with K-12 public schools in Indiana. And again, we look forward to working with them to develop cost-effective energy and maintenance efficiency projects. To answer some of Mr. Strawn's questions, again, this is to find a qualified vendor to help us develop the projects. I think we have a pretty good idea of what some of those projects are going to be after going through the facility assessment. But again, this qualifies them as a vendor capable of assisting us with this moving forward. Speaking to any previous engagement about energy savings contractors, I believe any issues related to that had more to do with the financing side than it did with anything on the project end. But we could certainly talk about that more later on. And then your last question about how much is this going to cost the SCM taxpayer. Again, we're only to the point of qualifying them as a vendor. There's no dollar amount or projects attached to this at this time. Those will come later after they're developed with MCOR and our team. So happy to answer any other questions the board may have, but we are asking for your approval of MCOR Construction Services as presented.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 8.03, recommendation to approve letter of engagement with Baker Tilly. Mr. Newman?
Thank you, President Parks and members of the board. This evening, we are seeking approval of a letter of engagement for comprehensive financial planning with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors. If the board recalls, Baker Tilly acquired Umbaugh and Associates, who the school corporation had been working with for many years, I think close to 2 decades, if not longer. We typically will bring a letter of engagement from Baker Tilly in connection with a bond sale. This is a little bit different. I've asked for them to assist us in a comprehensive financial plan, so to help us project out revenues, expenditures moving forward, different types of scenarios, so that we can provide that information to the board. It seems like some information that we're currently not providing. I feel like we do a nice job of providing the monthly financials, but maybe a little bit more of a long-range financial plan moving forward is what they're going to assist us with developing with your approval this evening. I should have brought them. I do have examples of what they've done for other schools here in the last, just recently. Again, I think it's the large cost, the not to exceed $40,000 is really the cost to develop it the first time, and then the cost to maintain it moving forward will be much less costly. But I think it's important for the school corporation to develop something like that, particularly going in to referendums and other things. I believe we want to be able to provide that sort of level of information both to our board and to our taxpayers as well. So that's just a little bit of the background on the reason for why I'd like to move forward with this. Mr. Strawn asked where we would pay for this from. This would come from the operations fund. Every year I budget for professional services within the operations fund. Usually those go largely unspent, but there is an annual appropriation that the board approves, so it would be paid from the operations fund. And again, I know, Mr. Strawn, you asked about other entities, and certainly there are other entities that can do that work, but again, I just want to reiterate the long-standing relationship that we have with them and the benefits that go along with that.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. For approval.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Policy updates, 9.01, second reading of Policy Update Volume 34, Number 1, October 2021. Mr. Barker.
Thank you, President Parks. I think before I talk about it, I will address Mr. Strawn's questions as well. I think honestly, you make a good recommendation, and I think it's one that we can easily make and add those policies going forward. And I'll talk to Ms. Pettit about doing that, and I think that's that's something we can do. Tonight, this is the second reading for Volume 34, Number 1, October 2021 policies from Neola. Ms. Pettit presented them in first reading to you at our last school board meeting on March 23rd. So tonight, it's recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the policies as presented.
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. 9.02, second reading of various policies. Mr. Barker.
Thank you. Again, Ms. Pettit presented first reading on these various policies at our last school board meeting. So tonight, we're recommending approval of those on second reading.
So moved.
I second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 10, communications. 10.01, public announcements. All city schools and administration centers will be closed in observance of Good Friday on April 15, 2022. Mishawaka High School Spring Musical, I'm assuming that's Susical. Dr. Susical.
The musical.
The musical, tongue twister, will take place on April 29th and through May 1st, 2022. The next meeting of the Board of School Trustees will be on Wednesday, May 11th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Administration Center. If there is nothing else to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned.